Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakhaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in the previous verse, it was clearly explained the mode of pure goodness, which is also called as Vasudeva platform, is the platform of pure Krishna consciousness, in which the living entities originally exist. At that time, we are in the spiritual world. We are not in the material world. Because Vasudeva platform means Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness, which is the platform of spiritual world, not of the material world. But, of course, by the arrangement of the Supreme Lord, just like even though the Supreme Lord is present in this material world as Paramatma, but he is untouched by the three modes of material nature. He is untouched by material energy. This possibility exists even for the living entity, that we can exist once again in our original pure Krishna consciousness, even though we may be present in this material world, material energy. And the example is given, it's just like the lotus flower which grows in dirty place but still exists out of dirt. It grows from the dirty place, but still it is not in the dirt, it is still out of it. Similarly, the living entities, they can regain their pure Krishna consciousness even though we may exist in this material creation. So, how things have deteriorated and how one can reinstate has to be understood very, very nicely. So how things have become deteriorated? What is the root cause? The example is given that originally the water is very pure when it falls from the sky. But the moment it comes in touch, originally it is distilled water. Rain water is distilled water. But the moment it comes in touch with impurities of material atmosphere, it becomes impure. And once again, the water can be distilled, it can be purified. So these two concepts are very important. how originally we were Krishna conscious, purely, no contamination, but suddenly there is contamination and we are in the material world. When that contamination happened is very difficult. No one can trace out. Very difficult. That is how the Vedic literatures describe Anadi karma phale. It is Anadi, no beginning practically. You cannot trace out when this happened, when I came into this material existence. But it happened. What is more important rather than finding out when is how. Isn't it? When you became diseased is not very important. How you became diseased so that in future you can avoid, and how you can come out of the disease, that is more important. So how it happened? From pure consciousness to contaminated consciousness. What is the root cause? Three modes of material nature. Okay, three modes of material nature. How they come into existence in pure consciousness. Three modes do not exist they do not exist in pure consciousness. Yes, the root cause is the minute independence of every living entity. Prabhupada gives an example. Prabhupada says, just like Krishna being the supreme, he is supremely independent. He is supremely independent. We being minute, we also have minute independence because we are also part and parcel of Krishna. Now, Krishna's position is master. He is the supreme master. The living entity's position is servant, eternally the servant. Constitutional position. That is our position. So what happens, just like even in this material world, the servant may think, why should I serve this master? Let me be independent. Correct. We see this mentality even in this material world. Somebody is master, somebody is serving him as a servant. The servant, because he is independent, just because he is servant does not mean he does not have independence. This is very important. He does not have the independence to be the master, because that is not his position. But he has the independence that I do not want to serve. That independence is there. So, when the living entity misuses this independence, that I do not want to serve Krishna, I want to forget Krishna, then all these further everything else happens after this desire. So the root cause is this independence desire, and we are living entities. We are not dead. Desires are there, and independence is very important in loving service. Krishna does not want slavery. If there is no independence, there is no question of love. Correct? You have choice. You want to serve, you don't want to serve. It is out of love when one serves. So Krishna wants that. And that is why he allows us to use our independence as we like. So when we misuse and we want to forget Krishna, then everything else starts happening. Then all these, what we see, 3 modes of material nature, ahankara, all these will start happening. So, this is the beginning of contamination, independence, desire. So then what happens? Once the independence desire comes, the Lord creates this in the beginning, Mahat Tattva. So Mahat Tattva is set into process. What is this Mahat Tattva? It is the energy of the Lord. For the Lord, there is no difference. It is spiritual only. But for the living entity, it has to perform material work, devoid of spiritual contact. So what happens? This Mahat Tattva, here it is said, see, before this it was said, Swachhattam, freedom from all kind of impurities and freedom from all distractions, avikaram. But then we came in touch with the material world because of this independent desire, and now all transformations will start happening and material creation will begin. Shantatvam iti cheta. So in the beginning our consciousness is completely pure, it is not transformed, and we are completely peaceful and happy. That is in the beginning. Then once we desire, then what happens? Then all this creation springs up. What is the first creation which happens? So Mahat Tattva, the Lord creates, and then the Lord agitates this Mahat Tattva to begin activities in this Mahat Tattva. See how creation happens in this material world. There is male, there is female, the male and female unite, and then there is a creation of body. The child is created, the child is born. Correct? That is how we find. Similarly, the Supreme Lord, He is Supreme Purusha, He is Supreme Male. Prakriti is feminine. This is the energy of the Lord. The difference is how the Lord creates and how we create. There is a lot of difference. We require a contact with female to create. Otherwise it does not happen. The Supreme Lord does not require this kind of contact which we have in this material world to create. So, but the process is the same. What it is said here, if you see, Mahat Tattva Vikurvanat. Mahat Tattva got transformed. Just like by the touch of male, there is a transformation in the female. The semen unites with the egg and there is a transformation and a body is produced. The Supreme Lord also contacts His material energy in the form of Mahat Tattva. But how is the contact? Bhagavat Virya Sambhavat. Virya in the material world is called semen. Bhagavat Virya is different. That is how the Vedic literature describes how the Lord contacts this material energy. He contacts by glancing over it, just by glancing over it. Sa ekshata, it is said in the Vedic literature, the Supreme Lord just glanced on his material energy and material energy became agitated. And now it is ready to be transformed. Now it is ready to be transformed. So this foolish argument of so-called material scientist, creation takes place by itself, actually is not true. Material energy does not have power of transformation. Imagine, matter is lying. Until and unless there is a superior energy, matter does not transform. Suppose this phone is there. Until and unless there is a superior energy acting on it, it does not transform. This mic is there. I apply some energy, it will transform, it will bend. Right? So until and unless there is superior energy, matter does not transform. So this is foolish argument that matter by chance transforms into life. No. Life is different, matter is different. Matter is produced from life. So the Supreme Lord glances on his material energy. What is the first product? What is the first product? False ego. Yes. Ahankara. The first product which is material in this material world is ahankara. Why this is the first product? Because this is which will bind the pure living entity which is spiritual by nature to matter, completely incompatible. Matter and spirit are completely incompatible. No comparison. Matter is dead, spirit is alive. It is just like water and kerosene. They don't mix with each other. You require some binding agent to mix them together. Correct? That is the first requirement. We as the spirit soul, we are pure in our consciousness. We have nothing material in our consciousness in the beginning. But now, if we have to be bound in this material world, some connecting agent is required. That connecting agent is false ego, ahankara. That is the first creation. Then what happens? The moment there is ahankara, what is this ahankara? What does it mean? Ahankara means, it is just like, I'll give you an example. A person, he is very sane. He is in a normal condition. He goes to one bar and he drinks. Then what happens? He forgets himself, he forgets his own identity, and he, in illusion, identifies himself as someone else. Correct? The man who is drunkard, he is going on the road and there is one woman walking and he is thinking, I am king and this is my queen. He is seeing one building and then he is claiming, this is my palace. All in illusion. So, that illusion which is created is called ahankara. Imagine actually our all position, everybody's position is like this. Everybody is thinking. Man is thinking, I am man. Female, because she has got a body of a female, she is thinking, I am a female. Actually, the spirit soul is neither male nor female. But because of this ahankara, he is thinking like this. Next life, the same soul may take a body of a dog, and then he will think, I am a dog, and then he will bark like a dog. The same soul, when it takes the body of a pig, it will act like a pig, and it will think, stool is my food, living in dirt is my life. In this condition today, can we live in dirt? Can we eat stool? No. But imagine what is the meaning of ahankara. Ahankara can make you to eat stool, can make you to live in a filthy life, and still you will think, I am very happy. Just like a drunkard, he is lying on the road and he is thinking, I am very happy, I am fine. People are kicking on him, but he is still enjoying, I am happy. This is the meaning of ahankara. Illusion. So this is the first creation which happens. We, the pure living entity, exist with pure consciousness in the spiritual world. But when we desire to be independent from the Supreme Lord, then immediately ahankara is created. And now, ahankara is of three kinds. Ahankara is also of three kinds. Just like even in this material world, we can see the sections of people. People who are in the mode of goodness, their feeling, their perception of the world is different. People who are influenced by passion, rajoguna, their perception of the world is different. People who are in darkness, tamoguna, their perception is different. Person, imagine, who is a drunkard, person who is a drug addict, all this kind of persons. His perception of life is sleeping, no responsibility in life, simply dreaming. That kind of person is influenced by ignorance. Person who is very active in the material world, I want to do this, I want to achieve, I have a lot of dreams, and he works very hard in that direction. He is influenced by passion. And a person who is satisfied in his life, that I don't want to work like a donkey simply to satisfy my senses. Yes, I have to work, but not like a donkey. He is in the mode of goodness. So ahankara, when we come into this material world, these are the three ways we may get bound in this material world. Somebody is in the goodness, somebody is in passion, somebody is in ignorance. These are the three ways. So this is how the living entity is bound. Now, the question is how to get out, how to get rid of this ahankara. And that is what is being explained in today's verse. If one wants to get rid of this ahankara, one has to be very, very attentive, very, very careful. Because when we have misused our independence, practically our independence is finished now. Independence is finished. It is just like the moment you break the law of the government, you are put into the prison house. Where is your independence? Some little independence is there, isn't it? Just like you can move around in your cell of, suppose you are put in a cell of 10 by 10. You can move around from one to another, little. Sometimes if you have done too much criminal activity, I heard yesterday one message I got in the WhatsApp somebody had sent, I do not know. He has told, he got, for years together he was imprisoned. How much space he was imprisoned in? He said, to the extent which I can lie down. Just imagine. Different kinds of imprisonment is possible in this material world. So, if you have to get out, first thing is you have to be very alert, very cautious that I am trying to get out, I should not fall back. The example is given in the Vedic literature. Spiritual life is called Shurasya Dhara. Shurasya Dhara means it is like shaving your face. You take a very sharp razor, very good. It is up to you. If you are very cautious, if you are alert, you can make a very good shave. You will be neat and clean. If you are little inattentive, you are careless, immediately there will be blood. Correct? Immediately there will be blood. There will be wound. Similarly, spiritual life is considered like a razor's edge. We have to be very, very careful. Little inattentiveness, again fall down. Prabhupada is giving an example. Prabhupada says, sometimes even in our devotees community, we would have seen this. Somebody is practicing Krishna consciousness and suddenly he falls down. Suddenly he changes his mind. Oh, what is this? Why I should practice spiritual life? Better let me just be like anybody else. People are there, mad after material enjoyment. And we find he becomes once again involved in material activities. Correct? We find so many examples. One takes to spiritual life, he is practicing, everything is going on nicely. Suddenly, out of some kind of accidental, and he falls down, finished, gone. We see that example even in Bhagavatam. Example of Bharat Maharaj. Maharaj Bharat, he renounced everything material. He took to spiritual life. But then when he went to the forest, he was practicing spiritual life. He came in contact with one small deer. He became once again materially attached, and his whole spiritual life was once again practically stopped for some time. So much so that in that life he could not practice any more of his spiritual life. And as a result, next life he got a very degraded life of a deer. He was born as a deer, and once again he had to practice spiritual life, and then again he became completely aloof from all kind of materialism. So similarly, as a practicing devotees in spiritual life, we have to be very careful. Material mind, one should not trust. After all, material mind is a product of matter. You will find this ego only is going to produce mind. This ego only is going to produce senses. Ego only will produce intelligence. This ego in touch with goodness will produce mind. With passion it will produce intelligence. Then senses, sense objects, all these are produced by ego only. So, it is very important to understand the mind on which we are so much having trust. Actually, we should have trust on the words of the scriptures, because they are not from mental platform, they are from spiritual platform. That is why Prabhupada says this Hare Krishna mantra, it is not on intellectual, it is not on mental, it is not on sensual platform. It springs from spiritual platform. And anyone who comes in touch with it gradually will become purified. So our position is in a contaminated state. If we want to become purified, then something spiritual only can purify us. Nothing material it will be possible to purify us. It is just like the example is given in Bhagvatam. There is something fallen in some vessel. Let us say there is some chemical, and then you use another chemical to think that I will be able to purify. You are again contaminating it. Isn't it? Somebody is thinking I will purify the vessel with wine. This is the example given in Bhagavatam. Do you think with wine you will be able to purify a vessel? No. Alcohol, isn't it? You have to purify it with water. Similarly, our consciousness in this material world, once it has come to the status of being impure, either in goodness, passion or ignorance, that does not matter. Anything spiritual, then it is possible that our consciousness can be purified. And in Kali Yuga, the best method of contacting something spiritual is by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Because in Kali Yuga, the Lord has incarnated Himself as His holy name. Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatara. The Supreme Lord has come down in the form of sound. So Bhagavatam, hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing of Bhagavad Gita, hearing of spiritual sound, that is the most potent method in this age to become actually completely purified of all these contaminations. So, we have to be very alert that the limited time which we have got to come out of this material existence, the limited time which we have got in this human form of life is very, very valuable, and this valuable time we should try to utilize it very, very carefully, very, very attentively. So anyway, all of us have taken to Krishna consciousness. So rather than becoming complacent, because this is a nature of the material world. Nature of the material world is we become complacent after some time. Maya places us in certain situation and we feel everything is all right. Prabhupada gives an example. This is the influence of Maya. Person is lying in the hospital. He is sick. When he feels little better, you go and ask him, how are you? He will say, I am fine. It's a Maya actually, we can see this. How is he fine? He is lying in the hospital and he is saying, I am fine. Isn't it? But how Maya catches? So similarly, even in the spiritual life, we are practicing, we are chanting, we get an opportunity and we become complacent. I am fine. Isn't it? I am still in Krishna consciousness, still chanting. But we do not know. That is why spiritual life is called Shurasya Dhara. We have to be very alert, very careful that I have taken to spiritual life. If we are not alert, any inattentiveness, immediately there can be fall down. So that is how we have to be very careful. And that is what Prabhupada is trying to make us understand, that originally we are coming from pure consciousness. 3 kinds of contaminations have come into existence. And once again, if you want to be in pure consciousness, you have to be very alert. very alert. Because of independence, any time, from any position, you can fall down. So that is what we have to understand. So we'll stop with this Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.